Hello, everyone. I'm Jake.
I'm Hannah. This is
Cat.
Lupine.
Meow.
Meow.
Meow. Indeed. And today we're here with some Dave Ruby Rubes. Everyone loves him. You love. He's got such insight on the world, and so we continue to read Dave Rubin's book. And this chapter is titled, or this sub chapter sort of is titled "Look Backward, Not Forward," in which Dave Rubin will, without any self-awareness whatsoever, express how incredibly fortunate he is to have familial wealth and not understand how that would possibly reflect on his station in life moving forward.
That's what
Um,
frustrates me about this chapter is he takes his family's story of coming to America and attaining great success
yeah,
and then assumes everyone else has the exact same situation.
yeah.
It's very,
Like
very
he didn't
strange.
apply this to systemic racism whatsoever. We
Nor did he
did, but
understand that there are some people who just don't get. I don't know.
yeah, there's
I'm
people
not
that
going
don't
to
have
attribute
this.
everything his family did to luck, but
Of course not.
usually success requires both hard work and an element of luck. And some people work very hard but don't get that luck
We are a
element
great
going on.
example of that, where we have busted our asses on this for a long, long time. It's very enjoyable work, but we're also very lucky to meet certain people, have certain exposure, be appealing to certain different people, hit at the right certain time. Like it's not like we're bajillionaires or anything. We're certainly not, but being able to make a living doing this job is an incredibly privileged position
Yeah.
due to a bunch of circumstances. Certainly not limited to our hard work or talent for certain aspects, but I mean, there's people that are plenty talented that just never get any don't see the light of day because of just the saturation of how media works. So yeah, I don't understand how he doesn't apply this, but uh, it
Oh
starts
God,
out.
Kitty.
Oh, what?
Sorry, she completely changed the page I was
Well,
on.
there you go. Kitty hacking the mainframe. Um, he starts out this chapter. Sadly, the left would have you think that there's no value to our nation's past because it's characterized by white male oppressors. This mindset is not only false but also destructive and dangerous. Okay.
The idea that he can confidently assert that it is patently false that America has a history of white men having power and other groups not having power is absolutely absurd. I can't even believe he made that claim.
Well,
Like Rubin,
well,
Rubin, hey Rubin, women didn't get the right to vote until the 1920s, and then the Civil Rights Act wasn't until 1969. Slavery existed for centuries. They couldn't vote until are you do you know anything about anything?
well, he'll say he's right because he'll say the left doesn't has no value in our nation's past. Not true. I'm a history major. I value lots of things about the nation's past. I also value lessons we can learn, which is important. So not so. There's a big difference between saying, "Look, this is some fucked up shit," and "Look, there is no fucked up shit whatsoever." Like, acknowledge the bad shit we did and learn from it. That's the ideal way to deal with history. That's the reason that we deal with history, is to make sure that if you make a mistake, you try not to do that again or something similar. I mean, it's the age-old adage: history is bound to repeat itself. Like, yeah, because people fall into patterns. We're predictable. We have similar ways of thinking, and when certain circumstances arise, you can kind of plot the course insofar as what you think might happen. Now, of course, there's going to be different variables and stuff, but you could definitely say, like, hey, hyper-nationalism, probably going to lead to not good stuff. Racism, probably not going to lead to good stuff. Like, it's very easy. I don't think any left-leaning person thinks there is zero value in our nation's past, right? Even if they tend to agree with that in the beginning, I could probably, and most people could argue, there's value even in the negative stuff, specifically for that reason. Um, apparently, our progress is always progressing towards freedom. That's a tough one. I would agree and disagree. I think it's freedom in a different way though, because we progress towards a more egalitarian system rather than a more free system, because ultimate freedom is really like I can do whatever I want irrespective of anyone else, right? Which would be hardcore freedom. We make concessions on freedom a lot, like seatbelts or not being able to threaten people and stuff like that. Like just to have a functional, more happy society. There's lots of things that happen, that I guess run counter to just pure freedom. And then he begins the part where I wouldn't enjoy the freedom and opportunity I do today without, immigrant elders and family members that came to the States.
You know, the weird thing, I thought when he was getting into I wouldn't have what I have today unless it was for, such and such, I thought he was going to go like, oh, Stonewall, I wouldn't, because Dave Rubin's a gay man.
Yeah.
And I thought for a second he was going to go, oh, are you actually going to point out like civil rights movements for LGBTQ people? Nope, he's going to talk about his great grandparents that pulled themselves up by their bootstraps.
Yeah, it's literally just it's capitalism. It has nothing to do with the other stuff. It's like,
yeah.
It's weird. So, I mean, do we have to talk about specifically any like these by itemized? There's just some stuff that makes us mad.
I found these incredibly boring.
Yeah. Hit us with the juice. Hit us with the stuff that when you read it, you went, I'm annoyed now. Because there's a lot of that in this chapter. It's a short chapter, but it's rife with this misunderstand. Like, he definitely does not recognize the way his privilege is, and you mentioned this earlier. It's like different. It's different from the normal American experience.
Here's what he writes first, which I find funny based on his current positions on like immigration. My maternal great-grandfather, Joe Jowitz, moved to America from Lithuania in 1916. He traveled by boat with hundreds of others and arrived at Ellis Island with absolutely nothing but determination and the clothes on his back. So when Dave Rubin's, great-grandfather shows up to America with nothing but the clothes on their back, they're industrious. However, if you do the same thing from Mexico, you're a dirty illegal immigrant and you need to leave, okay?
Yeah.
You don't get that opportunity because we have decided that you're not allowed to come and petition in person for you to be allowed into the country. Instead, you got to fill out paperwork and wait 10 years and give us a bunch of money, okay?
Yeah. Which is obviously incredibly classist. He talks about the bootstraps and how, yeah, that's right, an American girl married an immigrant in Europe where he met my great-grandmother Bertha, which is a fantastic name that needs to come back. We need more Berthas, frankly.
He goes on to say eventually his blood, sweat, and tears paid off and built a decent middle-class existence for them, which in turn helped create the life I enjoy 3 generations later, not recognizing that, like, yeah, your great-grandfather was from Lithuania, and I'm sure that came with its own set of, like, problems, but he also had the opportunity to go and work and get a fair wage, probably at least somewhat reasonably at the time, which wasn't the case for women, wasn't the case for black people.
Irish people had a really hard problem.
I was going to say, even if he was like Irish, he'd be facing a lot of issues that he apparently didn't face. So the idea that because your individual great-grandfather and your family was the beneficiary of a system that ended up leaving a lot of people out doesn't mean that those people weren't left out. Right. It just means that you were part of a group that wasn't, and that you were able to succeed despite a system that hurt other people. And I'm not telling you to feel bad about that. I'm not asking Dave Rubin, feel bad that like your great-grandfather benefited, from a system that was exclusionary. I'm just saying recognize it, recognize the reality, and don't use it to try and say America doesn't have issues in its past and present that stem from those past issues with like racism or exclusion of minority groups. It's ridiculous.
He goes on to talk about his father's side, who were Isaac and Jenny, who moved to America from Belarus. That's how you say that. I just looked it up. In the 1890s, they had 5 children, all of which were born in the United States. And they were a pair on the lower east side of Manhattan, all crammed into a room. At 32, he died of appendicitis, and there's lots of bad stuff there. And then my favorite part of this section, and it made us giggle because, well, mostly me. I'm a child. And then Jenny married a man named Hyman Block, who was out here preserving the hymens of all people. Whoopah! Not on my watch. Hyman Block getting in the way. He was the first superhero, actually. That's true. So apparently they had 3 more children, and there was a situation where Grandpa already went on to become a lithographer, and paid him 25 cents an hour, a rate he thought was fantastic, which is a decent amount of money back then.
I inflation calculated it.
Did you?
In case you're curious, somewhere around like $8 an hour, something like that.
Okay, it's not super great, but also the cost of living was much lower in that time. Not to say, I'm sure these people had it very hard no matter what, but he also rode the train a lot, which I guess is a bad thing that he doesn't think that other people have to do, which is wild. People have to commute constantly. In fact, we should have more public transportation, because not everyone can afford a car, and it would cheapen a lot of people's travel costs. And frankly, just like healthcare, when we pool together, things get cheaper, including transportation. It would drive down. We wouldn't need as much fuel and stuff like that. We would use less electricity. It would just be better and better for the environment. Good stuff. What's that? I just lost my spot. Someone becomes a graphic designer. My brother is wait.
Yeah.
His father. Where was his father? Oh, that was it. His father worked on Long Island and stuff. He doesn't say what he does necessarily, but basically this set the stage, right, for Dave Rubin and his sibling, his brother and sister, could attend college, create decent lives. So this is a very distinct, important facet of a lot of white families' experiences when you become like a 3rd or 4th generation individual that lives here. By the time you're about 3rd or 4th generation, contemporary to now, it means that usually you had an immigrant situation where someone would come over, and they would be working class, of course, or they would be highly skilled, and they would have to apply those skills and have a little family and then move up. But the situation in America at the time is very different than the situation now, and I don't know why we apply similar standards across the board for other immigrants. The economy was constantly fluctuating, and there was always a need for labor due to massive casualty in war. Like this happened in 1916, right before World War I, right? And then after World War II happens, then you have Vietnam, you have Korea between those. You constantly have people dying, and so you have this rotation of labor where people get shipped off for multiple years. Women need to enter the workforce. You also have immigrant people that can pick up the mantle there. So labor has this boom. There's this labor boom. The worst part, though, that happens after that is the baby boom. And then labor becomes harder to come by. Or not harder to come by, harder to get. Labor becomes harder to satisfy with jobs. And this keeps happening as we become more efficient, and we become... now, the birth rates are now tending down, which is a good thing, under a labor-driven capitalism, because you start running out of decent wage jobs, and then you start having to, and this is really a cascade effect. It's a big problem, because if you have workers that can't get educations and they can't get benefits, they can't get health care, They have to work low wage jobs, which means they have to work more hours, which means they have less hours to spend gaining the skills they would need to upgrade their lives, which is, usually we say go to college or, get a vocation, like learn HVAC or some shit. Simply go get a license to weld or whatever, this is a big problem. It's a systemic issue, and I don't think Dave understands that he benefits from this so greatly. I know he says, I come from a working class family, so I'm my success is better or something. Black people didn't have this opportunity at all. Black people had no familial wealth. In fact, again, until the late 60s, they didn't have fucking equal rights. So it's like I don't know how during the systemic racism aspect he didn't bring up the disparity between his familial wealth and his upbringing. I mean, I know why he wouldn't, but I don't know why he wouldn't think of it. I hope he thought of it and just decided to omit it for political purposes. Because if he didn't think about this and he just wrote this with pure ignorance, I don't understand how his brain works. I don't understand how he gets to this part and then doesn't go back and go, and although we had different upbringings, here's why systemic racism, here's aspects of it that are true. I mean, again, it's not politically expedient, but at least to be honest. I don't understand how he doesn't apply this at all.
For the record, and I find this an interesting comparison, the Civil Rights Act is only 3 years older than Pong. Just in case you need a frame of reference for like how long black people have had equal rights under the law in this country. 3 years before the game Pong came out.
I don't like that fact. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Also considering the fact that I'm only 20 years older.
Sure.
Or younger.
The Hustle came out 6 years after. Do the Hustle. Do, 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 do. You got rights 6 years ago. Do, 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 do.
Good shit. Good shit. So, today the tale continues with me as I plan to start my own family with David, who has the same name as me. You were totally right. It skipped over my head. Dave Rubin, his name is that's a weird situation. When two people have similar names, or what's worse, I think, is when like if you were to take your spouse's name or something, it would turn into something horrible, like I don't know, Jessica Schmeshika, like something stupid like that,
Sure.
where it's just like, ooh, I don't like that, or this is true.
How does that work? This is very private, but like in the bedroom, is it like, oh, Dave, oh, David, or is it like Dave and Dave?
They probably have
or
pet
is
names, right? Well, most couples have like
Okay.
at least something they call each other. It's not their name, right? Although I like to imagine that Dave Rubin calls his husband David at all times, and probably with his middle name.
Okay.
David Jeffrey. I don't know what his middle name is. But there's nobody. There's nobody here. I don't know why you're doing that. It's okay. Darwin apparently is homophobic. Sorry. I didn't know I had a homophobic dog. This is a true story. There was a guy in the phone book years ago. Yeah, phone books. I know. I'm elderly. His name was Harry Sackrider. That's an unfortunate situation right there. And I don't think his parents loved him enough to not name him that. But yeah, so that was real. He got prank called a lot when those were things that you could do. So now they're talking about getting a surrogate, a child through surrogacy. He makes a joke about butt sex that I thought was close to funny. He says surrogacy costs about $250,000, $250,000, and he goes, I keep telling David we should try the natural way, but it just ain't working. Like, it's as close as he gets to explicitly describing, like, hey, I'm really gay to a really conservative audience, which I think is I feel like he lost a little bit of his audience there, which is fantastic. Like, I don't think they burned the book immediately, but I just mean like they probably went, ooh, shudder, which I think is funny because the grift is sad. That said, we were talking about America being great, and he talks about this. Now ask yourself, would I be bringing a child into this world if America was a menacing matrix of oppression? If I didn't believe our son or daughter could have a wonderful life of their own making, something that could be as good of or not better than mine? No, of course not.
Dave, you're rich. Of course your kids are going to have a good life. You're rich.
I was in my 20s when you got allowed to be married.
This frustrates me too. He says afterwards, more importantly, if America was so hateful and homophobic, would it even allow me to have a child in the first place? Okay,
How?
I had to look this up. Because I'm like, wait a minute. What are you talking about, Dave? There are many states in which, like surrogacy, like he said, costs $250,000. Okay? $250,000. The vast majority of people cannot afford that.
Yeah, did you know most gay people don't have $250,000?
Just laying around, yeah. So here's adoption, right? Because that's the closest thing I can get to finding, like, hey, do the states allow you to have kids as a gay couple?
Yeah.
11 states, including Michigan, completely explicitly allow, state licensed child welfare agencies to refuse placement with LGBT individuals. So 11 states. 20 states have no explicit protections, so they can decide
31,
just based on
31 states are sketchy.
Yes.
If you're gay to have a family. How? By the way, we're for freedom. This is freedom. This is. Do you like this freedom? I know you don't want kids, but it irks me that you can't adopt someone into your life that needs, that needs and desires like having parents.
Yeah.
What the fuck is the point?
Dave lives in California, right?
Right. Yeah. Which
Dave Rubin lives in one of the states where there are regulations prohibiting discrimination. Guess what? Guess which states prohibit discrimination on this stuff?
Washington, Oregon, California, New York.
It's the blue states. It's basically all the
Massachusetts, Vermont, Delaware.
Yeah.
Maine is sketchy. I don't know if Maine does. Maine has a.
Maine does.
The North is like so red on Maine. Good for them. So yeah, the East Coast and the West Coast probably. There's got to be someone.
Guess
in the Midwest.
where most of the ones where they can explicitly discriminate are.
Are they the South?
It's the South and the red states and Michigan. Yeah.
I'm surprised Michigan actually hasn't put that. We should probably reintroduce that soon. But because we're usually pretty progressive about a lot of stuff on accident sometimes. But apparently the gays are not one of them. Yeah, I don't understand how you can not understand. He goes, give me a break. In other parts of the world, I'd be thrown off a building. Not the bar, Dave. Not the bar.
If your bar is, I'm literally not being murdered at this very moment, your bar is too fucking low.
Way too low. By this, I mean that the idea of privilege exists on a continuum, and we're all just at different points on the journey. It's a constant work in progress, and yes, some people are further along than others, but this doesn't mean they haven't earned their place or that they can't go back. What? Privilege exists on a continuum. I guess, sort of. It's more like I suppose, spectrum of it, and depends. It's also got hierarchy to it, though. It's not just a sliding scale. It's also like it jumps levels. So like a white person has a different sliding scale than a black person has a sliding scale, right? And the idea is to get those sliding scales as close to the same as possible. And a gay person, anybody else who in intersectionality that you can think of that would, anybody, literally anybody from any demographic, whatever makes them a person. You want basically, we want it to be a continuum, pretty much. We want everyone to have the same starting point. The end point's different. And I think, again, Republicans, conservatives in general, MAGA people, they don't understand what we're talking about. When we say we just want like equality. We don't want equality of outcome. You can't ensure that, and a lot of people, like there's people, like I don't want the same outcome as somebody else, right? Like I don't want to be, I don't know, an artist. I don't want to paint. It's not for me, right? Someone else doesn't want to be an idiot that wears a corn suit on stream sometimes. Like, that's the thing too. You don't want to be a chef. You might not want to be a CEO. Like, that's fine. We don't want a quality of outcome. Everybody just starts at the same point, and then hopefully, no matter what, the worst you can fall is what we talk about in other episodes and all the time, is just like a situation where your life isn't in danger. That's it. Like, you have opportunities, and frankly, I think that's even freer. Like, if we're talking about liberty and freedom again, like, wouldn't it be nice if you made you're trying to make a business decision, right? And you put everything on the line, you mortgage your house or whatever, and you just lose. Okay, that's a thing I guess you can do, but you're not gonna die from it. Some people die from that shit. Like, there's no reason to. At this point, your worst case scenario is you have like a less good home, and you work your way back up, and you have the ability to go to school and do other things, and you're always safe. This is ideal. This is ideal for entrepreneurship. This is ideal for innovation. Like, imagine the innovation we could have when people weren't worried about not succeeding, right? I feel like that's some Star Trek shit. That's awesome. I don't know. Then he finishes on what? Don't run from your history. Be proud of it. He's basically saying, like, don't feel guilty about shitty ancestors.
Oh, God. He ends it with, the motto is no longer I think, therefore I am. It's not even I'm a victim, therefore I am. It's now I self-flagellate, now therefore I am.
He misunderstood what I think, therefore I am means.
Yeah. He says, it's almost a theater of the absurd. The currency is victimhood by proxy. Whoever can grovel the most is the currency of the radical left. Don't be like them. Be better.
Ugh.
You're nailing it, Dave. You're nailing it.
Do we come across as self-flagellating at all? Like, do I? Like of the two of us, I would be losing the privilege war, right? Or winning, I guess, the privilege war, but losing the woke awards because I'm the least minority of the two of us. And, like, there's a difference between being consciously aware of different aspects about, like, the disparities in human experience, whether it's through privilege or whatever, and then being one of those, like you see the TikTok the other day, that liberal white lady who made her kids, like, bow down to black women because they helped win the elections and stuff from a demographic standpoint. Like, that kind of shit, that performative shit that doesn't help anybody and just makes everybody go, ooh.
Yeah.
Like, no. I just realize, and you realize, and you experience some of this for different reasons. There are points where our lives intersect. There's points where our lives with other people, and there's points where our lives don't intersect with other people, but there's always enough space to put empathy in our interactions with other people and sort of use empathy to try to move forward. And while everyone has failures and we might not always be the best at it, it's the attempt at empathy anytime someone experiences, you know, a misdeed or bad experience in some way. Like, that's just the point. It has nothing to do with flagellation. It has to be with, like, I understand that the black population, for instance, reports negative experiences overwhelmingly with law enforcement, right? And we see that bear out in the statistics when we check that claim, right? And then we look at that and we go, okay, well, there seems to be an issue here. What's the issue? You listen to black people, they tell you the issue, and you go, okay, that seems to be reasonable to me. That makes sense. And I want to help you with that. I want to use whatever platform I have, whether you look like me or you look like somebody, you know, there's people all across the spectrum. There's black people across the spectrum that have a little bit more privilege than your average. They might be upper class. They might just be good at communication. They might have a different platform, whatever. Colin Kaepernick's a great example of this, where you just use your empathy to enhance the voice of someone that needs a little bit of a boost from whatever you got. And sometimes it's not your place. Sometimes it's just your place to stand there. Like, there was a great example of the BLM protest where there was a lot of white people standing in front of black people but not saying anything to sort of intercede between them and the police. That was good. That was a good thing where it's solidarity in the right way. You're not centering yourself in the conversation. It's not about you. It's about advocacy, and it's about being there for somebody. Stonewall's a great example of people fighting for their own shit. And you as a trans person, you experience all sorts of the fucking fluctuations of how human beings interact and show empathy or don't. Like,
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that? I mean, there's just so much. There's so many layers to this. He just doesn't even explore. So
Nah, I think you got it. I find it frustrating that he comes from a place of immense privilege when he's like, just don't worry about it. Like, okay, a lot of people have to worry about it, Dave, which is so weird too, because again, even though he's part of the LGBT community, being a gay man, his wealth, I think, insulates him from real world issues that face people based upon their identities, and therefore, because it's not an issue for him specifically, he feels that it shouldn't be an issue for other people, not recognizing that he has become insulated from said issues due to his wealth. And it's frustrating.
Yeah, I agree. You said he was part of the LGBT community, and
He is.
I went like
I don't
this.
get to excise people from it because I don't like
I know
them.
the word community was he is definitely part of the broad umbrella of the community, but he doesn't interact with the community, right? Like
Sure.
it's weird. It's weird that that someone would disassociate. Blair White's another one of these people that just like they sort of like, well, I'm above that now. And it's like you could do so much good as a visible trans woman like Blair White, right? She has the capability, the capacity to affect so much good change in the world. It's so sad.
And it frustrates me too, especially, and this shouldn't matter, but we live in the real world, so it ends up mattering in terms of appearance. Blair White passes amazingly well, in a way that I never will. And it frustrates me that instead of using that platform and her being fortunate in that respect to try and uphold and communicate to cis people that, hey, even though I pass really well, that shouldn't matter and you should care about trans people and trans issues. Instead, she literally does the opposite and shits on non-passing trans people and people she doesn't deem, trans enough to be considered trans. And it's so fucked. It is so fucked.
Shittier people like Rose of Dawn do the same thing, which is wild to me because, like, there's like a clear difference between like the privilege that Blair White has had living in California and having lots of access to cosmetic surgery and being able to, and Rose of Dawn, who lives in the UK, who clearly doesn't have the resources to like get like what's the word I'm looking for? I guess the amount of cosmetic surgery to get to the point where Blair White is, and Blair's been doing this for a long time and comes from a fortunate place where she has a lot of money and stuff. And I don't want to take anything away from, like, it's hard to talk about Blair White sometimes because I really want to advocate for her rights, and I do, and at the same time I'm just so fucking disappointed. Like, it's not just about Blair. Like, this is a Dave Rubin thing as well, to a little bit lesser extent because the conversation has shifted away from gay men a little bit. But, like, he has the same situation where it's just like, why are you throwing... And it's not identity politics. Like, there's a difference between, like, you're gay, so you need to do the gay things, and then you have a platform. And from an ethical point of view, using that platform to help improve the lives of anybody, but it just doesn't make sense how your personal experiences wouldn't lead you to advocate for people that share whatever aspects of yourself you share. Right? I don't know. Just wild to me. It's a bummer. Candace Owens, great example of that, where racism isn't real kind of shit and just parrots white nationalists and emboldens them to be like, look, we found a good one. Like, rough stuff. Not a fan. It's okay. I'm kind of like that for white guys on the left, right? Look, we're not all super terrible. We're capable of being okay-ish. Anyway, so that's the end. What's the next chapter? I haven't looked. Do you know it?
The next chapter... Oh, did I already close it out? Hold on, let me reopen it back up.
Okay.
The suspense is killing me.
Oh, it's so close. Suspensefulness.
Can I get a drum roll?
Is that drums? That's not drums.
Close enough. Every country has its baggage.
Is ours slavery?
And then the next one is, yes, capitalism is good. So
Why are these different chapters in conversation? Like, why these are those both could have, you just could have taken both of those and just slid them into the last chapter and this chapter respectively. Like, you just talking the same shit. All right, cool. I guess we're gonna talk about that. So yeah, we're doing the rubes. So thanks for hanging out. We appreciate you. We shilled our stuff big time, big shill last time. So this time we'll less shill. Go hang out at our official Discord if you'd like. There's Linky Poo. Check us out on the Twitter machine where we do tweets at people and we do stuff, and you can see our pets and memes. We like those. And you can also go to the Patreon and support the channel. Hopefully, as vaccines get rolled out and stuff, we can start doing more in-person type things. But this is really expedient for the way that we record. So I think this is going to maintain
sure.
past that, whenever that ends, 2025. But we'll be able to do some more in-person stuff, like unboxing stuff. So our P.O. Box is 6544 Saginaw, Michigan 48608. Remember that. I should have it. I meant to have a text thing. I was thinking about that the other day. Like, oh, we need to push that more, because then we can do more unboxing thingies.
Yeah.
Because they're a lot of fun to stream with everybody and kind of like, I don't know. I like our community and like being able to talk to some of the YouTube people that don't go over to the Twitch. But I forgot to do that because I'm trash. So that's okay. I get to be sometimes. So we're gonna leave. What are you gonna do today? Tell me what you're gonna eat for din din. That's really what I'm interested in.
Good question. Maybe some mac and cheese.
Ooh, I think I'm gonna have some BBQ. I think today's a BBQ day. I am. Are you still? I'm assuming you are. Are you still dieting? Still watching the cows? Same. It's been happening a lot, and it's been going very well. So
I lost 30 pounds last year. I'm hoping to lose more this year. More than 30. That'd be good.
Yeah, I'm hitting it pretty hard. It's already coming off, so that's good. That's nice. It feels good. But COVID put a death spiral on some of my plans here, so gonna break out of it. But yeah, some barbecue. Looking forward to it. Haven't eaten today, and it's 3:00, so it's about that time. Anyway, you guys go out yourself. Get yourself some mac and cheese. Get yourself some barbecue. Get yourself a little snacky. Energize yourself, and then show up, because one of us is streaming this evening for sure. So Hannah's streaming it. Hannah Reloaded. I'm streaming it. Actual Jake. It's a crapshoot. I don't know what day you're watching this. Hannah's going to go stream after this in about an hour in real life. So who knows? Maybe you'll be there. Go check it out. You're dressing up. It's Tuesday, right?
Yep.
Tinfoil Tuesday! God.
Do you know about A Call for an Uprising, the channel?
No.
Oh, God.
So that's what you're doing today?
They keep getting booted off, or they keep getting demonetized, so they've come up with a scheme to get around YouTube's system. And it's very, very stupid. They made a new channel called A Call for a Rainbow, where they do innocuous content that's supposed to be a satire of what they think is YouTube content. And then they're going to move to that channel once it gets monetized and turn it to A Call for an Uprising. And then he's going to create a new channel called A Call for a Rainbow. And then he's going to like jump from channel to channel in perpetuity.
That's a good plan. That definitely won't fuck up. They can IP ban you, whatever. Yeah, come check that out. We love your faces. Have a wonderful day, and we'll be back with more of the good stuff soon. There's some high energy exit there. Little yawn, little thumbs up.
I gotta go get some soda. I'm tired.